Hello, welcome to our Suite Solutions webinar on the latest features of SuiteHelp 4.0. I'm Miriam Brand. I'm the Marketing Manager at Suite Solutions. Our presenter today is Joe Gelb, President of Suite Solutions, together with Renah, Scarowsky, Lead Developer of the SuiteHelp solution. Please be sure also to tune into our webinar next Tuesday, October 13th, co-sponsored with Lavicon, where our CEO Gal Aron will present delivering product content across customer touchpoints. And next Wednesday, October 14th, when Joe will be presenting with Comtech on using database documentation with Salesforce for service. And now, with no further ado, our President Joe Gelb will explain the latest features of SuiteHelp. Joe?
Hi, thank you, Miriam. Okay, thanks very much for your introduction, and welcome everybody to the webinar. Okay, for the main topics of this webinar are number one, a very quick introduction of who we are. We'll talk about the vision behind SuiteHelp as a product, the high-level architecture of the product and how it works. We'll talk about the native mode for generating HTML5 for use with the SuiteHelp. We'll talk about new features and updates, and we'll talk about a roadmap for the upcoming releases. Suite Solutions is we're proud to be a leader in intelligent content delivery, and that generally means that we help companies like you to deliver quick access to relevant information, and that helps you to improve your customer experience and reduce cost of creating and maintaining content. Most of our products are focused around delivering content. Our services and solutions allow you to help to structure your content, manage content, collaborate and distribute that content to different platforms, and we'll talk about some of them shortly. Obviously today we're going to be focusing on the SuiteHelp platform. Most of our customers are multinational companies, some public organizations, primarily from high tech and manufacturing. We do have some pharma and telecom and finance, but the main idea is that because of we've been lucky enough to have a large number of different types of clients, and most of them are very large with lots of different types of requirements. It allows companies like you to really benefit from that, from the breadth of experience that we have. Our approach to from a consulting point of view is helping companies, our customers, through an organizational maturity model for knowledge value or knowledge value chain. And this model, it has proven to be a very useful tool for helping companies to identify their position in the industry, and it creates a real a roadmap for how to go and move up the chain of creating, distributing, and driving business benefits out of content. This is something we'd be happy to speak with you about at any occasion. Okay, when we talk about delivering consistent content across all customer touchpoints, so the 4 basic touchpoints we generally help our customers with are online help, which we'll be speaking about today, knowledge portal, which is a more robust portal for delivering many different types of manuals or different types of content, delivering content through support people, through plugins to CRM systems such as Salesforce, and providing content delivery through social communities such as Jive. And today, obviously, we're going to be focusing on the SuiteHelp, the Webhelp interface, but we'd be happy to speak with you at future occasions around the other touch points as well. So we talk about the high-level vision behind SuiteHelp. So SuiteHelp is meant to be an industry strength solution for delivering content via HTML. Okay. I mentioned before that many of our clients, and many of them are on the webinar today, have pretty high-level requirements for delivering content, whether it be large amounts of content or speed of delivery or requirements for search, things that we'll be talking about today. But if we talk about this distinguishing factor between SuiteHelp and other platforms that are available, we really try to distinguish ourselves by being industry strength and being able to hold up to the requirements of large organizations that need reliability and performance. So we talk about cross-device web help, reliability and security, maintaining a high level of cross-platform and cross-browser to be able to support different types of devices. What we'll be talking about today is that we spent a significant effort over the past year to upgrade the entire platform to a JavaScript platform called Bootstrap, which we'll be showing to you. We have continued to provide a high level of ability for customization and branding, meaning that the skinning we'll be talking to or showing you today out of the box can be heavily customized for your own requirements. We try to support modern standards, but also respecting the fact that a lot of our customers have some of their customers that are still using older browsers, and we try as much as possible to respect legacy requirements as far as browsers and other types of content and delivery. And in general, we try to support a wide range of deployment options, which we'll touch on today. So if we talk about the high-level architecture of SuiteHelp, there's two ways to generate help, and I'll go over this very briefly, and we'll touch on it a little bit later on. We have one system of creating help called what we call native mode, and that basically is using the SuiteHelp platform or our underlying platform called the DIT Accelerator to process the data content, generate HTML5 topic files or article files, generate the SuiteHelp UI with the table of contents, index, glossary, browse, and all the other things we'll be talking about, and then produce that SuiteHelp output. In this case, the customization of the SuiteHelp is done using something called Shakespearean templates, which allows you to significantly customize the UI based on HTML templates and CSS templates without requiring you to know anything about XSLT or getting into the kishkas of the nuts and bolts of understanding XSL templates or anything like that. So the idea is if you have a good understanding of HTML and CSS, you can go a very long way of making very significant customizations to your SuiteHelp. We also provide a process flow using the Data Toolkit HTML generation. So we understand that there are a lot of companies who have XHTML style sheets that they've invested in to create HTML article files from their data topics, and we do allow and we continue to support the possibility of using those customizations did it to XHTML in order to produce XHTML, and then we compile that into the SuiteHelp UI. Okay, as HTML5 plugins become more available using the DIT, then we'll be able to support those as well. So basically we have two options. One is using the DIT to create HTML or DIT based customizations, and the other one is using what we call native mode. Now, during the course of this presentation, we'll talk about native mode in a little bit more detail and point out some of the, some of the advantages of using our native HTML5 generation as opposed to using the DIT for creating the HTML topics. So using native mode for HTML generation, first of all, like I mentioned, does not require understanding of ANT or XSL or XPath or anything like that, which basically means there's a much lower barrier to entry to make significant customizations. The topic mapping, meaning mapping between your data elements and your HTML elements, is done using something called a class map YAML file. YAML file is a standard text format, which Renah will be showing you briefly later on. So for example, if you have specializations or you have new tags, you simply open up this YAML file and you can very easily create new mappings. You can control numbering, linking, and other behaviors using a configuration file. The native mode is actually very, very quick. We've done benchmarking, but basically depending on obviously the number of links and tables and things in your content, you can create a help with about 10,000 topics in anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. So it's very, very quick. Does not require the it does not require the DIT toolkit, meaning if you have the toolkit, that's like the vast majority of folks who are using CMSs are using the DIT toolkit, but it does not require that, which means that if you wanted to generate help using like an automated build file along with your software, things like this, you do not require to have the DIT toolkit to be installed or available in order to generate SuiteHelp. Okay, and the other thing is that native mode creates HTML5 compliant output, whereas at this point it's getting better now, but at this point it's not so straightforward to get HTML5 out of the toolkit customizations that are available at this present moment. Although, like I mentioned today, there's just now there's a lot of people working on that, but at this point, it's not so straightforward. So at this point, I'd like to review some key features and updates in the software. Okay. Okay. So one of the key features of this of the new version of SuiteHelp is the responsive out-of-the-box skin, which I'm going to show you briefly now. Okay, at this point you should all be seeing a browser. I'll wait for it to catch up. You should be seeing the new version, or the version of the DIDAspec 1.3 compiled in HTML using SuiteHelp. Okay, so you see the SuiteHelp interface here. So I'll give you a brief tour of SuiteHelp. So SuiteHelp delivers pretty much what any self-respecting web help you would expect to see, including table of contents, okay, index, search, and glossary. Okay, so it has an interface now using Bootstrap, which goes along or follows the paradigm which a lot of users are used to seeing in web applications these days. Okay. I go and down to the index. Support multi-level indexes as well. Okay. Breadcrumbs, browse buttons, highlighting, sending topic or emailing feedback to topics, printing topics, etc. Okay. One thing I'll be touching on more later on is the search, and we'll come back to the search when we get to that. I'll be able to demonstrate to you some of the newer features in the search. Okay. Now what I want to do here is to show the responsive part of this. So if I were to reduce my screen to emulate how the screen would look on a mobile device like a phone or a tablet, you should be seeing that now. So you notice the table of contents and the navigation pane disappear, and instead you get this icon up here, which is known by many as the hamburger. So I click on the hamburger, then the table of contents, index, and navigation pane basically slides out. The search comes over to the left side instead of the right side. Then go ahead and navigate to different content. Okay. Okay. So this is an example of how the responsive skin works. So as I open it up, you can see how the interface pops back into place. Okay. So that's a quick look at the new SuiteHelp platform, the responsive skin, and this is publicly available, so you can go to DIDAspec-1.3 and you can access this. We actually have a lot of hits to our site. People going to the DIDAspec and using the DIDAspec as a resource as you're doing your writing. It allows you to go and have a quick access to the spec on your tablet or on your laptop or phone. Okay, I'm going to go back to the presentation. Okay, so that's a responsive out-of-the-box skin. You'll see a little bit more about that shortly later on. We've also done a lot of optimization for better performance for the product. So JavaScripting and CSS have been optimized. The functionality for context sensitivity has also been optimized. So there's the availability or the clicking or to get to those context-sensitive topics is much quicker than it was before. There was a little bit of flickering in our last version, but that has been resolved. The landing page, we now have a very large degree of flexibility for providing our own landing page. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to another sample site, go back to the browser. You should be seeing the browser now. Okay, so if you notice here in this landing page, there's a large degree of flexibility of putting headers and footers, okay, to basically making your the help or the landing page of the help to look very much or branded as part of your website. We've been hearing a lot of customers who are embedding their help as a documentation portal inside of their website, inside their corporate site. So we've done a lot of work to make it easier to customize that homepage, to create, for example, lists of links If you have different products, or you have like quick links on the home page to different topics or different special topics, we also provide that as well. So again, the idea is to allow the landing page of your help to feel as if it's like the first page of a documentation portal. Advanced search. Let me back to the slide here. So advanced search provides morphological fuzzy search options, better highlighting, improved treatment of wildcards and white spaces. There are more UI options for how you display the search string and how you display the number of topics that are found. Now all this advanced search functionality is provided using what's called a SuiteHelp server, which allows you to deploy an actual web server, a light web server, to either to your website or to even a client machine. We have some customers who are more and more taking advantage of that. We're also providing a hosted service as well. So if you wanted to get the advanced search functionality and have your help hosted on a web server, then we provide that service as well. So I'm going to go back to the demo. I'm going to go back to so you should be seeing now the data spec. Okay, so if I go into a search on the data spec, I can first for word, for example, configure. If I do a search for configure, then you'll see that I find configuration, okay, configured. Okay, and the reason why this is happening because it's not a JavaScript-based engine or search engine that pretty much every other Webhelp that we're aware of provides, but it provides a database-driven search. So we have the morphological, you have Boolean, okay, things like near, okay. So you can basically, just as this example, you can see how you can use morphological search and Boolean and near and some of the high-end search functionality within your Webhelp. Okay. Going back to the slides, we also have improved video support. So if you wanted to embed videos inside of your help or make links to them. One thing that I'm showing you here now, it looks a little bit messy, but what I want to show you is that we have a lot of customers who need to call or make a reference to a video inside their data markup, but need to create a much larger HTML snippet of code in order to get that video to work, depending on the video platform you're using. Okay, so we've worked with a lot of customers to allow them to minimize as much as possible and parameterize basically or what you're putting into your data markup in order to automatically expand that into much larger HTML snippets. Again, that's something we can help you with as well, depending on how you're going to be delivering your video or hosting your video. Google Analytics is out of the box, so if you want, many of our customers are using Google Analytics to get metrics about who's seeing which, how often different topics are being accessed. Okay, you can very easily replace that script via the Hamlet templates. We have asynchronous loading for large documents. It's something that continues to be a primary feature for customers who are using large documents, being able to very quickly see topics without requiring the entire help to load. That's something, probably a pain point that many of you have seen. Support for thumbnail images, multiple indexes. Most helps you'll see the ability to do an index, for example, index terms, but sometimes it becomes useful to automatically create listings, for example, API commands or keys or UI controls or anything like this. So we allow you to create separate indexes. So if I were to jump back to the demo, and I see that I have an index here that's compiled from the data index entries. So you can actually create another tab called API calls or modules or something like this, whatever you wanted to, and which would create basically a list of those terms, and you would be able to click on that and bring you to the exact topic. So we found customers that also find that very useful, especially for things like API documentation, reference documentation. Okay, branding, supporting for multiple skins. So many of you or some of you may have the requirement for having different skins based on maybe different business units or different OEM partners, or if you want to have slightly different skins depending on whether you're delivering your content for documentation or for training. That's something that's been continues to be supported. We can help you with that as well. Audience filtering. Let me show you what that looks like. So you should see here in the browser is a sample help. If you notice here, we have the table of contents on the left, and we have a drop down here. So let's say, for example, in this training, you want to be able to show your user the user wants to filter down and only show me the training information dealing with field services, for example. So when I select that, then it automatically filters down the table of contents and only shows the topics that are relevant to the type of content I'm looking to do. Okay, and that's generally facilitated using, at this point, out of the box, using data map attributes. But that's something that if this is something interesting for you, we can also provide some more details about that. Localization, right to left support for Hebrew and Arabic, out of the box VARs files now, which makes it much easier for you to create localization for your SuiteHelp UI. We continue to have integrations with the major players of data CCMSs and as well as authoring tools. And basically anyone who's running the data toolkit behind the scenes, we can easily slip in there. But for these particular vendors, we have pretty seamless integration and partnership with them. Okay, at this point, I would like to show you one more demo around customer feedback. And then which is upcoming in a new point release. So with the next short amount of time, we should be providing this available from our site. Okay, so you should be seeing again the demo site. Okay, for the that I was showing you before. So as I click and find different topics, you're able to add a button here for leaving feedback. So some of our customers are running their Webhelp on a server, in which case they can implement something like they discuss or some other types of server-based feedback mechanisms. But a lot of customers are deploying their help on client machines, but still want to have some kind of mechanism to make it easier to leave feedback or get some kind of information back from the customers. So if I click on Leave Feedback, it opens up a little dialog window, which of course can be skinned according to your branding. And then the customer can add some kind of comment about this. Okay. Okay. And then maybe, and then give a rating. Okay. And once they click Send, again, because many customers are using client-based delivery mechanisms. So what it does is generates an email, okay, with the direct link to that topic, the rating, and the comment. So all the customer has to do is go in and click on Send. Okay, so that's an example of the feedback mechanism. So at this point, I would like to hand the controls over to my colleague Renah, who will show you some technical use cases around how to do some customizations, just kind of give you a feel of how that works.
Hi everyone, and glad to have the opportunity to show you some things today. We wanted to take the opportunity to get a little more technical and show you some samples of the new and existing customization features in SuiteHelp, different things that you can really easily do in the customization directory. You've got a whole plugin here, the customization, with different files to very easily control different pieces, and we'll go through some of them now. One new feature that's in this version is we have a customizable landing page. So the landing page in this sense doesn't mean what the user is actually seeing. It means a script that is catching anyone accessing the Webhelp and redirecting them to the correct location. You see, you've just got it's a simple redirect script. We had one client who wanted to customize this script based on the presence of a cookie in the user's machine. So really anything that you might want to do as soon as the user lands on your site, you can very easily customize right here. Here's a sample of how one client had modified the script. Another file you've got, which is behind every single page on the site, is the body template. It's called here body bootstrap, not Hamlet. A Hamlet is just the type of the template, and Bootstrap is behind the mobile-friendly pages. So behind this page is controlling every page. This template is controlling every page on the site, and you can really control many things of the look and feel of and the layout of your site just by moving things around here. So for example, if we look at some things, if we look at the layout here, you can add a custom script to every page of your site like this, usage metrics, just on comments and add in your own data or any other usage metrics you might be using. You see the layout of the whole page. We'll just do a couple things as an example. If we scroll down, we see the buttons that are behind. If we go to the site, they're the controls behind these buttons over here. So if we just play with those a little, take out the print, take out, for example, the print, move the email button first, save the file, rerun, and we'll see the change shortly. So refresh the page. The email button is gone. The email button is actually in 2 locations now because it wasn't deleted from the first one. And this from the second one, the print button is gone. So there are many things that you can control in the layout and customize, add your own things, remove existing things just by moving things around this page. Another file behind the customization is what we call the class map. The class map is used only in the native mode that Joe mentioned before, running with the data accelerator, and it maps every data element to the appropriate output HTML tag and class for it. So, for example, you want a term to be represented by whatever HTML tag, you just change it in here. You want all titles to have a specific tag, you change it, or a specific class, you change it here. Throughout all the data elements that you're using. We have, for the more complicated ones that aren't mapped directly to tags and classes, we have custom functions we call rendering functions, and they're also customizable. They're part of the code processing it, but they're customizable based on various arguments that you can pass through the class map. For example, a menu cascade, you set the separator that you want, an object or a param element. You set the attributes that should be copied directly from the source into the output. And there are a lot of different ways that you can control these rendering functions very easily in here. Set task headings to show up or not to show up, for example, that a prereq will say before you begin, or any customizable string that you would set in your strings file would be controlled here. And some other really important files that we have are the comp files. There are a few different comp files controlling different configurable options in the output. Many different things can be controlled in the comp files very easily. For example, we have CSS bars defined in the, actually it does have the out-of-the-box one open. I'll open it up and show you. This is in the out-of-the-box plugin, which you wouldn't be modifying. We have CSS bars defined here, which allow you to control very easily the colors of the site. So there are 4 different colors used in the basic design of the site. The different blues and grays that you see here. And if you want to modify one of them, so you just go into your customized file, add one at the end. Change the color to whatever you want, and we'll see that change shortly. So all of these colors and many other things are controlled through the conf file. Another example of something that's controlled through the conf files is numbering. So if we go to here, we've got a figure. See, it says here figure 1. You can very easily control what type of figuring you have in your output, or what type of numbering you have in your output for figures and tables, whether you have new numbering starting in each topic, or it's cross-publication, or no numbering at all. For example, we'll go into here, a second conf file, we'll change numbering style to none, and we'll see that change right away. And the numbering is gone. Another thing that can be controlled through the conf, which I won't show now, I'll just mention, is the landing page. If you've got a custom landing page here, if you wanted to go to the first topic, if you wanted to go to a specific data topic in your publication, you can set that in the conf file and just change the based on that. We've got the string files that most of you are probably familiar with from the other DittoT plugins. We've got ones just with the various SuiteHelp strings that you'll need. They're very clean and easy to work with. For example, you want to change the email address that's in this button here, which we actually took out, so we won't even see it. No, the email address we left in, the email we left in. We took out the print. So right now, if you go to the email, it doesn't have anything. We want to change that. Put in your custom email address. And as Joe mentioned before, the idea is that all these things are sitting right here, very easy to change. You don't have to go digging through long XSL files, searching for the right place to change it, and sometimes multiple times. It's all right here. Go back here and you see it's showing up now with the new email address. So those were the features I wanted to show you tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, Renah. I'll pass it back to Miriam to finish to sum up.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for this SuiteHelp webinar. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask them, because Joe is here and Renah is here.
Okay, so we have a question that says, it appears that we are using the DittoT version 1.5.4. Is this correct? So, Renah, maybe you can answer this about the support for the various DittoT. Sure.
We support 1.5 through 1.8, and DittoT 2 is coming. So we really support anything that you want to use. We just have different development environments set up, and I happen to be showing it on my Ditto 1.5 development environment. It really means it's meaningless that I was showing it in that one versus anything else.
Okay. Is there a way to remove GUIDs in the file names from live content?
Renah would be able to answer that question.
So SuiteHelp does not provide a way beyond normal data processing to change the output of the individual topics. We can change the homepage, like if that has a long GUID coming from the data map, that can be controlled via the comp file or the conductor file. But for the actual topics, if you want them to be different from what's coming out of LCA, you're going to have to use data copy too.
Yeah, thanks, Renah. Another question, where does SuiteHelp store the feedback? So the demo that I was showing before is in the case where there's no way for the server to collect the feedback. So the feedback is actually provided to you via email. Okay, so there's no, for this particular implementation of feedback, there's no storage of the feedback for SuiteHelp. Is it possible to put the map title and map metadata on the landing page pane?
On the landing page, what?
On the landing page.
Yes, so it's definitely possible. You can take any, you can have any of the metadata in the book map be pulled through and shown on any page. Like it can be shown in the header if you want to be showing anything there. And the actual landing page is something if you would be. That's a creation process that's in your control. So you can use a static page for the landing page, or you can have a small XSL file that's processing your input and outputting exactly what you want. It's not something that's hard-coded into SuiteHelp because everyone wants something different. But in the case that you would want specific metadata shown there, then it would just be pulled through from the XSL.
Thank you. And another question, can SuiteHelp use keys and key refs for maintaining links? For example, related topics and XREFs. The answer, Renah would like to answer that question.
It can definitely use them for XREFs. And as for related topics, I would actually have to look that up.
Okay. I believe that's all the questions we have for now. So I'll pass it back to Miriam to close up.
Okay. Yes, well, thank you again for joining us for this SuiteHelp webinar. Again, I'd like to remind you that everyone will receive a link to the recorded webinar within, I hope, about 24 hours. You'll get an email with the link to the webinar. And also remind you to tune into our webinar next Tuesday with Gal Oron on delivering product content across customer touchpoints, and next Wednesday with Joe on using database documentation with Salesforce for Service. Thank you very much, and thank you, Joe and Renah.
Thank you very much, and thanks for joining us.